Continuing our earlier discussion, which was on how the bromination takes place in case of alkenes, that means the addition of a bromine molecule on alkene. Here we have taken but2-ene molecule, and what we are seeing is that we are getting 3O product bromine, and its optical isomer is this one. And when we start with such a butene which is trans, then we are getting a erythro product. Both are on the same side. Okay, how does this all takes place? What is the mechanism of it? So here we see the bromination mechanism. So Br approaches towards this double bond, and then it gets depolarized, like Br plus and Br minus. So Br plus is attracted by this pi bond, negative charge, and Br minus is attacking from the other end. The bond, we tilt it and make it to the Sawhorse projection, and then we see that these Br are opposite to each other. And what we do now is that we allow this CH3 to come straight over here, so like this, and this CH3 to again go down, so that they becomes eclipsed. So this Br comes over here, it is over. So, and now we convert it to Fischer projection, and here we find Br are on opposite side, so they are 3O. What happens when we take pH in place of CH3? So pH will help in the stabilization of the carbocation. So here we see the mechanism. This Br plus formation, cyclobromonium ion formation is taking place, and then what is happening is this becomes carbocation, and this is being stabilized by the phenyl group, and then the rotation about a carbon-carbon single bond takes place. So there is a rotation about a carbon-carbon single bond, and that's how we get two products. So we get a cis product also and a trans product also. So now we see that we have this thing, then we are getting 90% cis and 10% trans product, because this second gets the cis adduct, this one is giving the cis. Okay, because it is converting to, it is rotating, so both Br are coming on the same side. So this is a cis product, right, and which is in 90%, and on the other hand the trans product is only 10%. So but here we are getting a cis because of this carbocation stabilization by the phenyl group. Coming to the chlorine thing, and with unconjugated alkene there is a strong bridging and high anti-stereospecificity, right? Chlorine is not as effective as bromine for formation of a halonium ion because of its smaller size and lesser polarizability. So the polarizability is less, so we are getting the same thing. And so aliphatic alkenes give trans additions in case of a chlorine, and phenyl substituted alkene gives syn addition. That is what we have seen just now in above case. So here we see this is pH, this is CH3, they are cis, and in such a case we are getting ClCl on the opposite side, anti-product. This is a minor one, this is a syn product, this is a major one. If we notice in the last example, both Cl were coming on the same side because of the rotation of a single bond, and it was happening because the carbocation formation was taking place, and that was allowing the rotation of the CC bond, and this carbocation was being stabilized by the phenyl group. So that is why we get ClCl on the same side, and they are major in the product. In this example, what we are seeing is that besides ClCl getting attached to these two carbon, we also see Cl getting attached to we are also seeing Cl acting as if it is a base and abstracting a proton, eventually making a double bond over here. So this is what we are seeing. So what is happening is like this. So Cl2 coming, this is carbocation formation is taking place. Now what is happening is that one of the CH3 is getting shifted. So CH3 plus shifting is taking place. So this CH3 migrates with its electron to, say like this, migrates to this one, and then we have a carbocation formation taking place on this carbon, and this CH3 gets attached to this one. So this CH3 is over here, the same one that has migrated, and then one of the proton gets detached and helps in the formation of a double bond. So rearranged product has this thing. So we get in chlorination, so we are observing stereoselectivity and also the rearranged product formation taking place. In case of alkynes, it is stereoselective because bromine is getting attached to the triple bond, and then we have a trans product formation taking place. And depending on the R, we can have a carbocation formation, I mean if it is a phenyl group, and then we can have a stereoselectivity also observed in this case. Now we come to the mechanism of the addition of HX to double bond. So here there is a difference. In case of Br2, Br was getting polarized into Br plus and Br minus. HX is already polarized. It is H plus and X minus. So H plus is going to get attracted towards the double bond. So H plus is bound to come to near to this one. So electrophilic H plus attacks on the pi electron cloud of an alkene to form a more stable carbocation or a pi complex protonium ion, because of the unavailability of the lone pair of electrons on proton, because there is no electrons over there, no formation of a bridge protonium ion is formed. So bridge formation doesn't take place. The electrophilic attack may or may not occur via pi complex formation. The carbocation formation step is slow, rate determining step. The rapid attack of carbocation by nucleophile X minus to give addition product. So here it is, rate is dependent on the concentration of the alkene and also on the HX, and this is a very fast step. So what is happening is that H plus is getting attracted towards a double bond, but then eventually it helps in the formation of a carbocation. Here we are seeing, and so that is why in most cases third order kinetics formation is taking place. So rate is dependent on alkene and also on the two molecules of HX. So if it is a fast reaction, so this is taking place like this. So this is only one HX, but the other case would be these two molecules of HX getting involved. So this is taking place like this. That's how the addition of a HX takes place on double bond, C double bond. So far as stereochemistry is concerned, stereochemistry of the addition of HX to CC double bond is less stereoselective than addition of halogens. Both trans and cis are observed. 1,2-dimethyl cyclohexene, 1,2-dimethyl cyclopentene, cis and trans tryptophan, and cis and trans hexene gives trans addition with hydrogen bromide. On the other hand, cis and trans phenylpropene gives mostly cis addition with HBr and HCl. So their stabilization is taking place of the carbocation, and so we are getting mostly the cis one. To account for the predominant cis product of the case, in case of 1-phenyl, it is supposed that a carbocation and the halide ion forms an ion pair, which then collapses to form CX sigma bond and form the same side of the double bond, and thereby cis product result. It is further assumed that the carbocation is stable. So that is the same case we have observed for the bromine also and for the Cl2 also. So here the carbocation formation is stabilized by the phenyl group, and then the rotation about a single CC sigma bond take place, and that helps in the formation of a one of the product. So about CC, which then forms the trans product. Addition of HX to CC double bond can be controlled by altering the solvent and temperature. Addition in non-polar solvent is predominantly anti, while in polar solvent it is syn. Now we talk about stereoselective reactions. So if a reaction that generates a carbon-carbon double bond or chirality center in a product leads to a preferential formation of one stereoisomer over another. So we are going to have two stereoisomers, one will be more dominant than the other, then it is called stereoselective. Stereoselective means we are going to get two stereoisomers, one will be more dominant. In other words, it selects for a particular stereoisomer. Depending on the degree of preference of a particular stereoisomer, a reaction can be described as a moderately selective, highly selective, or completely stereoselective. So here we have an example. From A we are getting B plus C. So two stereoisomers are formed. More B is formed than C, and where B and C are stereoisomers. So for example, dimerization of cyclopentadiene to give exo and endo products. So we are getting both of the things, exo and endo, right? Both stereoisomers are being formed. They describe a reaction of racemic compound or one without a stereogenic element in which stereoisomers are formed in unequal amounts. If the products are enantiomers, the phenomenon is enantioselectivity and are quantified by enantiomeric axis. So we generally talk in terms of stereoselective and stereospecificity, but if we are dealing with enantiomers, if the products are enantiomers, then we call it as an enantiomer, enantioselectivity, enantiospecificity, and quantify in terms of the enantiomeric axis. If the products are diastereomer, then we call it as a diastereoselectivity and qualified as a diastereomeric axis. Coming to stereospecific reactions, it is a stereospecific if the reactant can exist as a stereoisomer and each stereoisomeric reactant leads to a different stereoisomeric product or a different set of stereoisomeric products. So here we are going to get only one stereoisomer. So say from A we get B, say from C we get D. So they are the reactions in which, and here we see A and C are stereoisomers and also B and D are stereoisomers. So they are the reactions in which stereoisomeric reactants behave differently. They may react at a different rates or give different products or give the same product but in different yields. The stereospecificity of a reaction may be qualified high or low. So again I say this thing that we are starting with say R, we are getting as only one from one stereoisomer formation is taking place, right? And if we are taking say this one, right, it's stereo isomer, or in other words we started with R, here we take its S, optical isomer, then we are getting this thing. So from this we get this, from here we get this, only one. It cannot be like say we start with this and we get this one, right? So and all the stereoisomer reactants, they both are behaving differently. They react at different rates. Both of them have a different reactivity and give different products. So in drugs, this particular principle is used very much because this might act as a drug and this might act as a poison. All stereospecific reactions are stereoselective, but all stereoselective reactions are not always stereospecific. So all stereospecific reactions are stereoselective means yes, we are saying only one product formation is taking place, but then there is a possibility of another stereoisomer formation taking place in very less quantity. So that is why we are saying stereoselective. But all stereoselective cannot be stereospecific, because in stereoselective we are going to get more than one and they are going to be in a good ratio, say like 80-20. But here it will be something like 99.999.1. So that is the difference. So stereospecific reactions are stereoselective, but all stereoselective reactions are not stereospecific.